Ooh, well, hello, everybody. Ooh, you already know what time it is. It's time for the Purpose Conversation. I am Juva Threet Alexander, the host of this oh so amazing podcast, and I am welcoming you to another week of uh, the month of March. Mondays in March are all about phenomenal women because it is Women's History Month, and so welcome. Now, as you can see, it looks a little different. Normally, it's just me, and it's me and one somebody, but tonight I have six of amazing women. And guess what, y'all? They are all authors, indie authors. And I have been looking forward to this show. Now, y'all know that I'm a writer and I am an editor. So reading and books and all things literature, that is like my thing. And so each woman has represents like a different genre. And we're going to just kind of dig into what it is that they do, who they are, and because this is the purpose conversation, we are going to discuss the purpose behind the pen. So, you guys go ahead and invite somebody in, tell them to come on in, come on in, come on into the room. And so, we welcome you all on Facebook and we welcome you all on YouTube. And for all of my author friends, my purpose author friends, if you have tagged some people, you can go ahead and do that. Tell them to come on in, or they may just kind of watch the show later on. If you're catching us later on, welcome to the Purpose Conversation, the purpose behind the pen. And here are my amazing, super dope, super dope guests. And I'm going to kind of go in order, and I am going to, well, you know what? I'm going to do something a little different. If you ladies would, first of all, y'all say hey to my purpose friends. Here's
Hey.
Hey,
okay. Second, I want you to introduce yourself, please. And if you would, I want you to introduce yourself. I want you to tell us what is your particular genre. And I want you to, so this is three parts: who you are, what's your particular genre, and what is your definition of purpose. We'll
okay,
start with you, Aurelia.
I'll go first. Hey, everybody. My name is Arilia Winn. I'm an author publisher. I write in a diverse selection of genres. So far, I've published in poetry, children's coloring book, and short story. So we'll see. I'm working on part two of that book. And my definition of purpose is just something that you were born to do, something that you were made to do. And this could be something that either you were born into or something that you've decided and chosen for yourself. And so, welcome. So glad to have everyone here.
Thank you, Aurelia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Brooks, and I'm an author and an educator. I teach eighth grade social studies, and my genre is historical fiction, fantasy fiction specifically. And I write based on African American history, but I like to give it a little whimsical fantasy kind of twist to it. And so, my definition of purpose would be aligning with your community, doing using your gifts to enhance your community. That's what I think purpose is.
Oh, I like that.
Nice. So my name is Annie Taylor, and I have written two children's books, two coloring books, and I believe purpose is just about being passionate about what you want to do in life, whether it be to motivate, encourage, um, just giving back to the communities. I just believe your purpose is something that you're very passionate about and want to share with others.
That's good. Oh, Brittany, we can't hear you. We'll come back and see if you can adjust.
Um, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Jules. I am a poet, actress, host. During the daytime, I'm human resources. Um, I'm a mom, but I have published two poetry books, and one of them is a combination of poetry, a journal, and affirmations. And purpose to me is what we are designed to do. We have a specific calling on our lives overall, but we also have smaller callings in the moment. And our purpose is to fulfill those callings in whatever capacity we have to fulfill them.
Very good.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm JaCynthia Bailey. I honestly don't know what genre I fit into, but I would say that all of my books are about healing and humanity, really stripping off the layers to get back to your original design. Most of my books are journals. And so I believe that that's a way that we can really connect and slow down. It's my favorite way to connect and slow down. I am I work in the tech industry by day. And I'm a mama and a wife, and I'm just really, really passionate about healing and passing that on. If I had to give a definition for purpose for me, I would say that it's turning your passion or your pain or your story into a lifeline for others. So that's what I believe purpose is.
Very good. And she's my niece, y'all. Brittany, you're back. Can we hear you? Yay! I really like that. You know what? I always love hearing everybody's definition of purpose, because it's usually, it truly is one in the same. It is definitely that thing that we're passionate about. And to me, it is that thing that we are definitely called to do. It is that thing that inspires, and it's that thing that's, whether it's a particular season that we're going through or whatever, purpose, I think, when we are truly connected to our purpose, I know without a shadow of doubt, at least for me, that is when we are feeling, that's when we are fulfilled. When we are doing that thing, whether we are doing that thing in a very difficult storm, or even in a writing process. For me, in that writing journey was all a part of my purpose. And so that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to just kind of talk about the purpose behind the pen. um I guess, if you would, let's say, let me ask Lauren. Lauren, when writing your book, first of all, give us the name of your book, and what was your purpose behind that particular project? What was your why in there?
Okay. Okay, well, my the name of my book is Lassetti and the Purple Lotus, and I wrote it because I study when I was in school I studied English and Black Studies, African American Studies, and I'm just like you, avid reader. I love to read, and I like fantasy, and a lot of fantasy that I read is kind of like your fairies and you don't really see us represented. And so when I was studying history and hearing all these stories of rebellion, I was like, Black people are truly magical. Like you hear black boy or black boy joy and black girl magic, but when you think about what it takes to preserve your traditions and not know how to read and write and still be able to read the stars and still be able to do all these things, that's a untouchable type of power. And so in writing Lassetti and the Purple Lotus, I took a real life story about a rebellion, the German Coast Rebellion, and I wrote the story so the actual story is a real story, but I gave my characters like magical elements to them. So the runaway enslaved Africans, they have like cheetah powers or panther like things like that. Just Mother Nature type powers. Just I wanted it to be very very close to who we are as a people, but still give it like that kind of like Harry Potter kind of feel. So.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like that very much. What about you, Brittany? Because I know that I have your books and I know that it was a journey to healing, but can we dig a little bit deeper? Give us the name of your books again. I know there's a part one and there's a part two, and give us the purpose behind the pen on that one. Yes. Mm. Amen. I know that's right. I know that's right. Now, because you wrote a memoir, and I did too, I do know, did you find that very therapeutic, just the writing process itself? Okay. You know what, Brittany? I just got a message that for some reason our purpose friends can't hear you on Facebook. I don't know if anybody can hear you on YouTube. We can hear you here in the room. So if there's anybody that is listening in from YouTube, can you give me a thumbs up or leave us a comment and let us know? No, no one can hear Brittany. Okay, Brittany. I'm
No,
not.
I'm sorry. I can hear her on here, and I pulled up the YouTube on my phone. I couldn't hear her over there either.
You couldn't hear on YouTube. I'm not sure what's going on there, Brittany. I don't know. Yeah, and we hmm, not quite sure what's going on. Hey, anybody that's over there in Facebook, and I see you, Charmaine, I see you, Kelly, I see you, David. Can you guys hear? Can you hear Brittany? Brittany, say hello again. No, they're saying they can't hear you. I don't know if you can go out and maybe come back in again. And I'm so sorry that we have technical issues, Brittany. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and reel it back in real quick. First of all, y'all, let's go ahead and take a look here at our purpose friends that are in the building. You heard me call out a few because they know that I will shout them out in a minute. And I see here that we have Kelly Sweet. She says, hello, all. Good stuff. Very inspirational. Kelly Sweet is so, so sweet. And a lot of us know Kelly. And we also have Charmaine Bradbury. She is the purposepreneur herself. She says, good evening, ladies. And she is letting us know that the sound is out, unable to only hear the speakers. Hopefully, they're not having a problem with everybody. I'm not quite sure. Hopefully, we don't all have to go back out and come back in. So let's see. Kelly said that she couldn't hear Brittany at the time. Brittany, can you say hello again? Y'all chime in on Facebook and YouTube if you are able to hear Brittany. I mean, we can hear you on this end, but I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure. Um, we'll check here. Somebody will definitely let us know because we can hear you here in the room, though. David Jones, which is Annie Sweetie, he says, "Hey, and y'all, David Jones. I'm not gonna turn the spotlight on David, but David is my friend from way back when. And guess what? He was the absolute very first person that I did an actual interview with on the Purpose Conversation. It was before I even had the platform, kind of up and running. But David, he says, hey, Jay, hey there, David, and Annie. I know that he spoke to you here. I know that he spoke. He said he couldn't hear, but yeah, oh yeah, he says, hey y'all, love you, babe. That one's for you. And yeah, so all of our purpose friends are chiming in. Hopefully, Brittany will be back in and we can hear her. Brittany, if not, then we are going to have another extra special purpose conversation where it's the two of us and we're going to vibe. Okay, we're going to go back to purpose and the purpose behind the pen. Sa, you have a art form. You are a creative. You are dope. Oh my gosh. Y'all, she didn't just write poetry, but when she says she is a poet, she is a poet. Sa, tell us about you. Tell us about your work and tell us about the purpose behind the pen because you write other than your poetry books. So I mean, y'all can find Sa on the news. Y'all can find her in different venues. Sa, go ahead and tell us who you are and what it is you do and the purpose behind your pen.
On the news in a good way.
Yes, on the news in a very good way.
um, I have, well, my mom sent me to an art school when I was 11. So I was there for some years, and that's where I learned um, spoken word. Well, I learned poetry, and then I joined a competition team where we used to go out and compete, and that's when I learned spoken word, because spoken word is performance poetry. So I've been performing, writing and performing since I was 11. I also write scripts for plays, film, all that stuff. And I used to be in ministry in a church, and then I left the church, and God is using my poetry, my spoken word as ministry. So now I go to different venues. I travel all across the country. I just came back from Colorado last weekend, performing out there for the Air Force. And I really, I don't talk about anything that's not true. Most of my poetry is my life. So through that, you get to learn who I am. And I said, maybe I can put this in a book. And so I started writing the book, the poetry book, some years ago. And I finally pulled it all together and released my first book in 2022, January 2022, for my birthday. And then the next book came out a year later on my birthday in 23. And I said, the poems that I'm putting in here are very raw. They're deep. So instead of somebody holding on to my words, I want them to be able to write down how they feel
Mm.
or write their own poetry. So right behind each poem are journal pages. And then behind that, it's words of affirmation to encourage and uplift and, pour back in. Because when you're doing ministry, people don't think about you sometimes. You're pouring out and nobody pours back into you. So that's my way of being able to, I'm draining you literally with my poetry.
Mm.
And I'm depleting you. And after you finish writing it out, I'm gonna pour back into you and tell you how amazing you are and all that stuff. So that's me in a nutshell.
Love it. Love it. Y'all, like I said, Sa be booked and busy, which is a good thing. It's just a good thing.
Awesome.
Sent. Okay, I know that you said that you didn't know what genre that you write in. I can tell you now, it is definitely self-help. Definitely self-help. And but if you would you tell us exactly what are the work what are your publications and what was the purpose behind your pen?
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. It would be self-help, but um I definitely didn't do it alone. Both of my works were inspired by what God was doing in me and how he was healing me and showing me myself. And so the first book that I did was called Getting Back to Your Original Design. And it was my journey through the pandemic. Actually, when the world shut down and I had to be home with my kids, sitting still, looking my husband in the face every day, and we had to act right because we couldn't go nowhere. So God really just began to deal with me and show me where a lot of my behaviors stemmed from. And I was able to kind of put it in question form, share some stories from my life, and really give a work that helps people to sit, be quiet, and reflect and decide to let go of some of the things that have been holding them back or keeping them in a certain mindset. So that's the first book. And because that book, that process that I went through was so transformational, the first thing that was affected was my marriage. I was working on me for me
Mm-hmm.
and just
doing what God was showing me. And the first thing that flourished was my marriage. And so we actually collaborated together and wrote another journal called Getting Back. And it's for married couples. And so after I got done working on me, we started working on us. And we've been married for 10 years this month. And I always tell my husband, he says it's not true, but I know it's true, that just over the last 4 years, our marriage has just been absolutely phenomenal. And that's because I did the work. And I my purpose behind the pen, honestly, is watching and experiencing and walking through the transformation and seeing how different my life is today, um, versus when I thought it was good. I want everybody to experience that and to be able to slow down and do it on your own pace in the privacy of your own home. Um, and actually a lot of times we do it in community, so we go through the book together as women, and so that's been a lot of fun too.
Now, I can I can say, y'all, first of all, there are a lot of people that do journals, right? I've
Mhm.
written a journal. And a lot of times when we say journal, I'm not talking about, oh, tell me your about your day. No, honey. This journal, I have gone through JaCynthia's journal 3 different times. And it's been like every 6 months, to be honest. And I've done it. She hosts a small group where we actually, honey, we do it like at 7 o'clock in the morning. I think this last time we did it like at 6:30 in the morning, and it is unlike anything I've ever experienced. I've never journaled with other people, and it. When I tell you, it was getting back to you, honey. It was getting back to the basics, and so um, I see why her journal not just her small group, but other people in other groups have picked this journal up to go through it. And it's been absolutely amazing, healing, and different every time I go through it. Okay, now Annie happens to speak to a part of um, my life, which is children. Annie has written children's books. Annie, could you tell us again the name of your books and the purpose behind the pen?
Okay, so I have two children books. For the girl books, it's Shoes or Not, Step Into Your Dreams. And then the boy book is Had or Not, It's Your Time. And the purpose really was just to encourage and motivate children, girl, boys, to be who they want to be, to dream big and not the stereotypical careers. There are so many careers out here that we can do, we don't think about because growing up, we were like, hey, you can play basketball. Hey, um, you can cook, as a woman, sports for a boy, just a nurse for a woman, those just typical careers
Mm-hmm.
that we were growing up and was labeled to do. And I wanted to present other career opportunities based on what you like to do as a kid. I love to read. I love education. And so it took me many years to get to where I'm at, but the hard work paid off. And that was the purpose behind these books. Put in the work, and you can be anything you want to be growing up. And it doesn't have to be one career either, it can be multiple.
You know what I think I love the most about your books? Not because I think it was beautifully done, but I think from an early age, what's the age range for your books?
From 8 to 12.
From 8 to 12. From 8 to 12, you are actually speaking purpose and into these children and getting them to think outside the box and helping them to expand their little minds and to think big and to dream big. When
Yes.
I did my purpose conversation journal for girls, I did that for teens, tweens. And it was similar to what it is that you've done. I'm just encouraging the girls that, hey, you can be anything you want to be. You can do what you want to do, and just speaking purpose into them. So kudos to you. Thank you so much for writing that. As a matter of fact, Arilia, I sent Gia, your little baby, our little darling, um, Annie's book. What does she think about that?
Oh, can you hear me? I had my thing on mute.
Yeah,
Can you hear
we
me?
can hear
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Oh my God. Let me tell you. First of all, Gia loves books, and kids can be very honest. And so I said, Gia, what do you think about this? And she said, oh, the little black girl. I said, oh, what do you think about the little black girl? She said, oh, she's cute. So she
Yeah.
loves, all the little characters in there. Just some background because that might be odd for some people to hear, but we were kind of raised in an area where there was maybe 5 black people in her
Yes.
whole school. So it
Wow.
meant something really like I almost want to say it was like a culture shock, but not really. But at the same time, it was like, oh,
Hmm.
there's actually more people in the world that look like me, which for kids, you don't think that you might be thinking like duh, but no, like for kids, it's actually a profound like realization for them when they go to school and there's not too many kids that look like them. And so to see that in a book, that was really important for her. And so she loved it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And while we have you in the building, you are an author publisher. Can you tell us, Aurelia, what is it? What is it exactly that you've done? What is it that you do? And the purpose behind your pen?
Yeah, so I'm an author publisher, so I do both. I help authors publish their books, and I'm also an author myself. I worked with Lauren recently to publish her book. It was a bestseller. Whoop whoop. And so we're working on her hardcover book, and so that will be coming out hopefully next month. So y'all stay tuned for that. And so yeah, it just my purpose behind it. It first, honestly, it started out almost like it was just kind of me going with the flow. I got to my last year of undergrad and I was going to school to be a journalist. And I pulled my teacher aside and said, hey, I think I've made a mistake. Graduation is in a few months, but I think I just want to be a full time author. And she said, well, you could do that. Maybe you should go work for a publisher. I said, okay. So I worked for 2 publishers as an editor. And then my sweet cousin, Kelly Sweet, that's family right there. She asked me if I would start a publishing company to publish her book. And I said, yeah, sure. But as family can be, I was kind of like, well, I'm going to publish my book first. Heck, I wanted to be a full time author first. And so I put out my book. And then later that year, we put out her book. And since then, I've just kind of kept at it. And just the more that I've been in this industry. So that was in 2018 when I started Winn Publications, my book publishing company. Since then, I've come to realize that there's only 4% of African American women in the book publishing industry as executives. And so I knew it was important for me to not only get in this space, but to learn everything that I needed to know to publish as many books as I can, and to take up room here and to do amazing. And so that's what I've came here to do. That's been my purpose. This is all I want to do. And this is probably what I'll be doing until my last breath. And so I just love it so much. I get to work with so many amazing people, have so much support from Black women like you, Juva, and just so many other women who have referred people to me and just given me numerous opportunities and just so much grace and kindness and love. And so I'm definitely a product of the community and I'm grateful.
Awesome.
Well, I'm personally grateful for you. Let me ask real quick, just because we have a bunch of authors, indie authors in the building. As far as publishing, I know that you have a publishing company. Do you offer a la carte services? Let's say, hey, Juva got this daggone book that she needs to finish, like what, 2, 3 different books, and she may just want somebody to edit, or she may just want a beta reader. Do you offer a la carte services?
I do. I do offer a la carte services and self-publishing support. And so that's something that I'm really pushing this year is the self-publishing with support. I work with a lot of new authors who are just like, Arilia, I just want to write, you do the rest. And I absolutely can do that. Or they say, Arilia, I just need someone to format my book. That's my strength. My strength is in formatting. And so that's how I've been able to kind of run a solo ship with working with other publishing professionals is through my strength in formatting books. And so I do. So I offer book formatting, book cover design. I'm working with other agencies for editing. I help authors upload their work. One of the newest services that I've been doing is marketing and branding strategies for authors. Um, and so we'll see. My next venture is opening a storefront. And so all the prayers,
Awesome.
if you're a praying person, please keep me in your prayer as I try and tackle that. It's been so crazy. But anyways, yes, I do offer I do offer a la carte services. Yes.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Y'all, she's amazing. Okay, Brittany, let's see if we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We
Yes.
can
Yes.
hear you.
Great.
We can hear you.
I'm not sure what was going
Facebook, YouTube, can you guys hear Brittany? And I'm telling you, the very first time, girl, you were telling us, you had me there, and I was saying amen real
on.
quick. Name of your books, and Charmaine Bradbury says yes, Brittany, so she can hear
Right.
you. Okay, so the name of your books and the purpose behind the pen.
Okay, the name of my books is No Pressure, No Diamond, My Journey to Healing, Part 1 and 2, which I've already stated is a memoir. The purpose behind the book, well, just giving a backstory, God placed it in my spirit to write a book. And I was like, why, Lord? And so I began doing a lot of deep prayer, and so I spoke with my then again support my publisher, and God says write about you. And I said, well, why would someone want to know about me? So as I began to sequence the events in my life, because I'm very detailed, if you snuck a sneak peek of that, and it got to the point where the trauma, I was having to face that. And I was trying to erase that in so many ways, because I was like, ain't no way. I was scared of what people would think about me or how people would feel about me, and actually having that on blast. And so around that point, it came to the point where I had to, seek therapy services consistently, because I had a nervous breakdown. And a lot of things I felt in my life was failing. I felt that life just wasn't worth living. So I was basically rock bottom. And I always say, when you're rock bottom or flat on your bottom, there's nowhere else to go but up, because you're looking up. And
Right.
so once I was speaking with my therapist, I had one or two things. I could just lay in my vomit, or I could rise up and be what God has called me to be. So at that point, I began, accepting what happened to me, because my scars that my trauma left, it doesn't define who I am. It just tells you where I've been and why I'm going where I need to go, in following the Lord. So when I got to the, place where I was like, I'm not just selling books, I'm selling life changes, because I believe in Romans 8:18, where it says that our current sufferings, cannot be compared to the glory that will be revealed in us. So
Yeah.
when God started working through me, and I started releasing the shackles of guilt, I started releasing the shackles of shame, I was able to reach so many people that were saying those magic two words, me too.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
so in the point of, in the process of that, I was able to connect with so many people who had children who were victims of molestation, who were victims of molestation, and people shoved them under the rug. I was able to give them the tools that I learned in therapy of how to survive. They even, are consistently in therapy. So it was sort of like it became like my story's out there. I'm not just dumping my trauma out on you. I'm showing you that this is what I've been through, and this is how I've healed from it. So that was my purpose, was to sell life changes.
Wow. I love it, Brittany. Wow. Um, Roundtable and roundtable question. Um, what is the most valuable piece of advice that you've been given about writing? And it could have come from anybody.
Just start.
Yep.
Just start. Put a pen to paper and just start.
I
Yes.
love that. And you know what? That's actually the advice that I usually give everybody too. Just start. Just write. Just write. Just write. Don't worry about formatting. Don't worry about none of that. Just write. What
Even if
about
it's
you,
one
Aurelia?
sentence a day.
Say that
Oh,
again.
I said,
oh, I
even
thought
if
Brittany
it's
said
just
something.
30 minutes a day, just right.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with the just right, and I would also say, keep writing, keep writing. Make it a lifelong, make it a long term thing. Don't just give readers one book and then peace out on us. We want to see more. You're
I love that.
especially
Yes.
yeah, especially if you are proudly rocking this title as an author. Wave that flag loud and proud and keep writing. Some of our most favorite authors, as I'm a reader, and some of my most favorite authors, I didn't discover them maybe until their fifth book. Okay. And if that
Mhm.
happened to them, imagine what that means for you, especially if you only published one book. Maybe your readers won't find you until book number 8. But keep writing. Don't stop. Don't tease us with one book. Keep publishing them.
I
I
Mhm.
love
agree.
that.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
agree. I'm an avid reader and I'm loyal. So if
Yes.
I find an author that I enjoy, I
Yeah.
purchase.
Yes.
I purchase. So I agree with you
Mhm.
on that.
Do the same thing. Yeah.
What about you, Sa?
I've been told, well, a long time ago, that there's no such thing as writer's block.
Oh,
No. Yeah.
okay.
Even if you can't figure out how to format whatever it is you want to say, just type stuff. Like they said, just write. Well, I say type, but back then we were writing.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But now we type. But yeah, I just type, and I mean, I'll I'll know what I want to say, but I don't know how to say it. So I'll just go, man, I'm typing. I want to say this, but I don't know how to say it. How do I say it poetically? And then eventually it'll just come. So yeah.
No such thing as writer's block. What do you think, Lauren?
Um, Recently, I told myself, and I went and I spoke somewhere, and I told this to the people I was around too, that it's so important to stay true to your own voice. And I think
Ooh.
that that was something that I struggled with as a fantasy writer, reading a lot of different genres because I love all genres. When you have your authors that you like, you know their writing style, you know their voice. And when you sit down to write, sometimes it could be a little bit intimidating, right? Because you're like, I know what I want to say, but I don't want it to be basic. Like I want it to be deep. But it got to a point where I was like, what I'm saying is true to me, true to, my experience, what I've learned. And when it all comes together, I think, as writers, all of us, there was a point where we were like, I don't know how this is going to come together, but hopefully by the time I get to the end, it makes sense. And I think that when you stay true to your own voice, to your own vocabulary, to the things that make sense to you, it just makes your writing so much richer. So that was something that I had to tell myself, and that now I tell others when I'm around them is, don't be intimidated by big words or all those kinds of things. Say what you need to say in the way that you need to say, especially for me, because I do a lot of writing in like colloquialism and a lot of like just ebonics sometimes too. And as a black woman, as an educated black woman, it's important for us to be able to not have to code switch so much. So, it's nice to be able to say things in a very intricate way, and it's nice to be, very much on your P's and Q's. But also if you want to switch up and be like, y'all, look, listen, then you should be able
Yes.
to do that. You know what I mean? And so that is kind of like what I like to spread. Be true to yourself, to your culture, to your community, to your background, because what's for us is for us, and somebody will find it. It will speak to somebody, the right somebody. So yeah.
Yes. I love that. What about you, Brittany? What's the best piece of writing advice that
The
you've
best
had?
piece of the best piece of writing advice was to just write. And anytime that you write, you are one step closer to your goal. I remember I used to have, and I liked it when she said there was no such thing as writer's block, because that was the word I was actually going to use. But my head was just so full. I had a lot going on. And, my publisher would always tell me, just write one sentence a day. Just commit to that. And every now and again, she'll text me, it's been 10 days. How many sentences do you have? And when I tell you, like, I wrote my whole book by hand, because sometimes at night I may journal, or at work with the type of job I have, you just never know. In the field, my former field of social services, I would just write. And I would say, okay, on Sundays, sometimes I would go to sleep after church and be up through the night. Instead of just laying there, I would just put music on my ears and I would just type it out. And it was just like that, just setting those small goals was so important for me.
It could be therapeutic as well.
Yes,
Yes.
very therapeutic, because when I wrote majority of my book, I could just hear those things as I took her advice. I could just hear those memories replay in my head, and I would just giggle and I would just laugh, and it would just put me in such a space of peace and harmony. When I was thinking about my childhood, some portions of it, and other family members who've impacted my life, and family friends who maybe have gone on, going on to heaven or whatever, whatnot. But it was just very therapeutic, even if it was just a paragraph, it made a
Right.
difference.
Right. Well, writing is definitely therapy for me. Believe me, yes. What about you, JaCynthia? What has been the best piece of writing advice you've received?
Everything that everybody said.
Okay,
And
yeah,
I will just add, someone told me that, you just need to stay committed. And yeah, it is just writing and then staying committed. And anything that I've ever done, I don't know why it was so hard to apply this to writing, but anything that I've ever done, you find a buddy and you find somebody to walk that journey with you. And, you know, finding people that want to encourage you, that will send you that text and say, hey, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Did you write today? Share with me what you got so far. And really going back and forth in that's so important, to just even get the work out. So that would be my advice.
I love that. And it's cool that you mentioned about having a buddy. For the first time, I actually joined like it was I don't even know exactly what to call it, what it is that we did, other than we were a group of writers. We met on Saturday mornings for 8 full weeks. Every Saturday morning for 8 weeks. We met at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Y'all know 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning. When you don't work on Saturdays, that has to be real commitment, right? Because you're like, hey, I could be sleeping in. And so, but we met for an hour and a half from 7 to 8:30. We met over Zoom, and we would talk book or have something, but the whole goal was to keep each other accountable. So we knew for at least an hour we were typing, we were writing, we were doing something, we were either putting together an outline, but we dedicated that hour and a half for every Saturday. But it was so cool because during the week we would have somebody that would say, hey, Juva, where are you on this? Or how's writing going? Or we would have different types of things. So shout out to Ayana Dixon for putting that together. Hello, all of my fellow scribes. We did it. And yeah, and so even the 8 weeks, even after the 8 weeks, we still touch base and we kind of check in with one another and say, hey, have you heard about this? Have you seen that? And just kind of just push one another. And even in my first book, I had a pusher. My bestie, Dwanese, she was a pusher. She pushed me to push that book right on out. Speaking of supportive people and pushers and all of this other stuff, is there someone that that you can go to that will serve as a real pusher for you in that writing process, a partner, or maybe it's a beta reader, somebody that's going to, do you have somebody that will give you absolute constructive criticism and help you in that part of your journey? Because I, as an editor, I can always tell when someone did not have a beta reader. I'm sorry. I can tell. I can tell when you ain't had nobody else under the sun to take a look just to see what it is that you've written. I hope my question made sense.
I can I
Yeah.
start first?
Yeah, yeah.
my my husband is that for me, and it's very interesting because Lauren was talking about staying true to your voice, and so he's my beta reader, and I get my stuff back, and he's like, "You said this kind of," and I'm like, "That's my voice." I'm like, "I just need you to edit the stuff, you know." So yeah, he's definitely that for me. So I love it though.
Uh, can I, for me? Okay, so for me as a writer, because my background is English, because that's what I study in school, I am very like I would read and then reread, and then I could hardly get through what I was trying to get through because I'm trying to edit as I'm writing. So
Yes.
I'm like, so Aurelia has been actually that person for me. I don't have anybody in my actual space that knows what I'm doing. They support me, they love me, but they don't write. They're not authors. Like, this is something new in my family, and so I didn't really. When I first got into this, I didn't have a lot of people that I could go to and ask questions and support. And Aurelia and I have a lot in common. Both, first of all, obviously being Black women, her being a HBCU grad, and me too. So I just felt like a kinship to her. So I didn't really have a problem just being like, "What do you think about this?" or "What do you think about this?" and just kind of like, letting her help me navigate through what I needed to get through. When we got to the editing part of the book, it was a lot of like, there was another editor who came in after Aurelia and I, who did another read after us. And when they went through, they were like, "Well, I know what you're trying to say here." Same thing like JaCynthia was saying. And I was like, "That's my voice." And I had a struggle of changing it and changing it back and changing it and changing it back. And so I would just, honestly, I trusted Aurelia's opinion. I'd ask her, "What do you think about this? Do you think we should change it? And what do you think?" And I think that our relationship worked because she trusted me too. Because there was times where she would show something to me, and I'd be like, "I don't know if I'm not. That's not where I'm at right now." And so I think that you don't need a lot. You just need one. You got one person you could trust. You're good. Trust yourself more. But it's good to have a person that you can, bounce that off of.
Yeah.
Yay, yay. Thank you, Lauren. I'm glad to be here. I was going to say, for me, it's always been my editor. I have like an editor that I keep to myself. I can't give you her information. That's my I don't even hire her out to the authors I work with, but just one editor. She knows me really well. Shout out to her. I won't say her name, but I will send her this. But she knows my voice really well. And I think that's why it's important to not just publish one book, publish more books so that way you can continue that creative relationship with whether it be an editor or a reader or your publisher. Have somebody that's in your corner that's going to be able to read your stuff and also kind of be upfront about some things. I know I've had authors in the past like, really, you was kind of direct there, but we have a good relationship to where it's, I don't know how else to say that. This was just me trying to communicate and just trying to say something so that you see that maybe you can address this here, and just kind of having, that boundary for yourself as the author to be able to say, you know what, this is my voice, I'm going to keep this here, and being able to say that to your reader, whoever it is that you have in your corner, reading your stuff, and not being afraid to say, hey, no, I think I'm going to leave this in the book, even if it's, you know it sounds country or whatever. Like, that's the vibe, that's the feel that I wanted to come for it to come across as. And so, yeah, for me, it's my editor. And I'm so grateful for the relationship that I have with her, and to also be able to be that person for somebody else is really important to me.
And look at you being guarded with your editor.
Yeah. Oh, y'all can't have her information. She better not comment. Yeah.
Can I go?
Yeah.
Okay. Poetry is a little bit different. You don't get to edit my stuff because it's
Yeah.
poetic.
Yeah.
It's but I will say before I finalized what I was putting in the book, I would perform them.
Mm.
So they made the book based on the audience's response. So that's kind of where I how I gauged what would go in both of the books. So I used my public as my soundboard, like if it resonated with them, if I had people coming up to me after a show saying, oh my god, that's like my life, I thought I was the only person who went through that. There's one poem I wrote, and it's about black men, right? Ooh, touchy subject. um and in there the poem is about how I've dated other men outside of my race, right? But and they treated me like a queen, but I never married any of them. I never got serious with any of them because I could not bring any of them home. Why? Because I come from this old Southern family that said you better not bring anything other than a black guy home. So who treated me bad? Black men, right? I've been abused by black men, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of that, right? And so that's what this poem was about, but also me being a mother raising a black man, a young boy into a black man. So how do I have this unconditional love for this young man who's
Mm.
black, but I have disdain for these black men over here, but at the same time, I love black men. So that's I got a standing ovation on that poem, and I was like, oh, I have to put that in the book. I have to. So
Osa.
yeah.
Awesome. So, my niece, Nisa, she's my beta reader, and I just trust her judgment.
Yes.
Um, and she's younger than me, but I'm a mother, but she was my baby before I had babies. And given everything that everyone has said, I've always said I have to be open to feedback, whether it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And she's that person for me.
I love that. And we have to have, I believe that we have to have that one, even if we have to hire out to get them. I,
Hmm.
I think I think it's important, because like I said, as an editor, you're getting all types of things. Sometimes you can tell, and I can see with poetry, girl, I feel that. Yeah, with poetry is a little different. And but yeah, I think it's good to get that feedback, and to see. And so I'm pretty sure when you were up on the stage and you're doing that, your spoken word, and you're getting this, and you're getting applause, and hey, that's your beta reader right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
That's your
absolutely.
push right there. What about you, Brittany? Who do you have, or what do you how do you navigate that? Do you have somebody that is your pusher, or your beta reader?
Yes. Actually, since I had started this process, I was 5 years in before I actually published. So what I did in the beginning was I picked someone, maybe it was a coworker who didn't know me as well. So when I completed my first chapter of my book, I printed it out and I said, hey, can you do me a favor and read this and tell me what you think? And they would come back and they would tell me, know what they think. Then I would get my two close friends, Paris and Latoya. Shout out to them because they was with me. They read a lot, a whole lot, and they would give me advice. Okay, what about this or what about that? Or when you're describing something, you have to make them be able to visualize it. My pastor and my first lady is actually a retired school teacher, so she is expertise in that area, and she was able to. Her strength was picking up, of course, on like a lot of punctuation, things like that. And, some people would look at the flow of it. So I had a lot of, good support when it came down to that. So I do agree with having those people and being open to accepting constructive criticism, because
Oh yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
going to be perfect. And one thing that I did was me having eyes on this for 5 years. Your eyes is going to get immune to it, and it's going to seem like it's right. But somebody can read something and catch a word misspelled that maybe Microsoft didn't catch, right off, because they're fresh to it. So I think that
Yeah.
having
Oh
a
yeah.
beta reader is very important.
Very
Yeah, I agree. Like David, he's very supportive, but he's just going to, baby, I support you. He's not going to give me that feedback that I need.
right, right.
I got you.
Right. And to have that support, that's all good. Sometimes they might not understand, or they understand what it is that you're doing. But I feel you. I feel you. Sometimes you need a beta reader, but you definitely need to have you have to have some support in this whole entire writing game, believe me. I want to mention, I see there was a comment for you, Brittany. It was from Kelly Sweet. And she says, I love that comment about looking up when you hit rock bottom. That's such a powerful, tweetable quote. I imagine your book is amazing. So I wanted to shout that out, that Kelly said that about your work. And it is amazing. It is
Thank you so
amazing.
much. Thank you so much, Kelly. And thank you, Juva.
Oh, it is. It is absolutely my absolute pleasure. Okay, what are you guys reading right now? And are you reading, or are you like, for me? Oh my gosh! Right now, I have fallen in love with the Audible books. And normally I'm not like an Audible book person, but it has made me look at my writing a little differently. And I'm like, okay, at least that first book that I wrote, I know I've got to go to Audible for that one. But what are you currently reading right now? Anybody?
Okay, so I read romance. That's my favorite pastime.
Me too.
And Susanna Wright. I'm a one-click person if I love you. And she just
Okay.
released a book. So I think it's called When He Dares. But yeah, I you can always find a book wherever I'm at. I have a book on any device that I have. I have a book.
Yes.
And I usually try to carry a paperback in case the device go out.
Okay. Yes. That's good.
Mhm.
I'm actually reading Lose the Debate, A Practical Guide to Emotional Intelligence and Successful Dialogue, by Dr. Summer Allen. I love when I run into women that are leading things in a corporate space and talking about healing and, being your best self. And so I came across her book. She did a seminar at my office, and I love it so far. It's really stretching me.
Awesome.
I like that.
I also love romance. I read romance all the time. Last year, I think I spent all of last year reading romance. I love Beverly Jenkins. So this year,
Yes.
I was like, so I made a little deal with myself. I was like, I'm gonna read one African American classic every month.
Mhm.
So I read uh, Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler in January. Then I read Jambalaya by Louisa Teach in February, and now I'm reading Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. Now I don't know if
Yeah.
y'all have ever read it, but it's crazy. I didn't
Yeah.
know what I
Mhm.
was getting. I love Toni Morrison, and so, and I read like a couple books at a time. So because these books are kind of heavy, so I also need like a little bit of a light balance. So I'm reading Toni Morrison, Song of Solomon is my primary book. Then my secondary book is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And Taylor Reed, I believe, is the author. I can't think. And then I have Midnight by Beverly Jenkins, like on the side. So when I get done with these two, that'll be my next one. So Song of Solomon is where I'm at now.
Love it.
I'm reading a lot of scripts right now.
Okay.
I
I
think that is so cool. I think that is so cool.
I went to Second and Charles and bought like a bunch of books because some self help and motivation books, and then I bought several books of poetry by a bunch of different poets, and then I had to get some Eric Jerome Dickey, of course, because I love him, and oh god, I forgot the other lady's name. Anyway, but I haven't started them yet because I am knee deep in a couple of scripts because I have some plays coming up. So
I love it.
I don't want to kind of cloud my brain with other stuff. So that's what I'm doing.
Who else? Are you reading something that isn't for work right now, Aurelia? Are you reading for fun? No.
No, I'm so jealous of y'all that get to read for fun.
I
But
know.
no, I'm not reading for fun. So
That's
send me
usually
something.
that's usually what
Send me
happens.
something for me to read. That's for fun. Something that's humorous. That's kind of what I like to read. But as far as work, I'm always reading. I'm reading right now a manuscript called "Mommy Said." It's going to be by my latest author. Her name is Barbara Evans. Her book will be coming out in a month or two. And it's a memoir. And I think that's all I can say about it, but it'll be out soon. And so that's what I've been reading right now is Mommy Said, a memoir by Barbara Evans. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I can relate to the not being able to read for fun. Although I love to read. Now,
Mhm.
because I haven't been editing other clients' works or anything like that for at least the past year, I have been into my audibles big time. I've definitely listened to just probably every type of self-help, motivational, girl, you got this type of audible that I can find. But y'all, I have I know don't judge me, but I love some good old urban fiction hood books. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So I'm gonna just put it out there. If
I'm not.
all of a sudden y'all
I'm not.
see there is a book and it's from JT Alex, then y'all know that's my pseudo name. But I have I'm listening to several of some good old fashioned urban fiction hood books. Kind of I've gotten trapped just kind of listening to it. But yeah, that's what I'm currently doing. But I'm listening and reading all of the time. But it's been fun to read for fun and not necessarily, even though I do enjoy editing, I enjoy editing. I really, truly do. A lot of people, that are writers, they say, I don't like the editing part. I love to edit. That's what I do. But I love reading and I love to have to read for fun. And Audibles makes it easier for me because if I read your book, I'm gonna find myself trying to edit it in my brain, and I hate that I do that. I
I
hate that
never
I do.
connected with Audible books. Um, as you ladies have said, like even with education, I'm in corporate America as well. I'm a risk advisor, but for the last maybe 10 years, I've obtained two masters. So I try to stay away from like serious books.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
um, and
Yeah.
the romance books actually, I think, well, for one, I met David and he was a reader. So that's how we connected. Um, and that's what we enjoy. And it brought life to our relationship. So
yes.
yeah, I that is my all-time pastime, favorite pastime.
I love it. I love it. Y'all, I probably could talk books all night long, but I did say that I wanted to limit the show to right at about an hour. If you would, our last round table, um, do you have any shout outs, or what are you currently working on? What do you have up next that people need to look out for? How do we connect with you and get your work? And y'all are welcome to put it in the show notes if you come back in through YouTube or Facebook and put it in, or either I'll type it in.
I'll start.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, my name is Arilia Winn. I am the CEO and founder of Winn Publications, a hybrid book publishing company. I'm also an author. I'm working on my next book that I'm writing myself. I actually started working on it today, and it feels so good to be back into writing. I do a ton of reading, a ton of supporting other authors, but this year I said I'm getting back into my craft as an author. Right now, the running title is called Book Number Nine. It's actually my 12th book, but we're going with book
Oh,
number nine because I forgot. I'd start forgetting about books that I've done.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, it's exciting. It's a continuation of my short story that I published 3 years ago, and so that's coming out. I do want to give a huge shout out to all of Winn Publications authors, especially Lauren Brooks. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And yeah, just my winning team of editors, Juva for supporting me these last going on 7 years now. And just continue to look out for Winn Publications. Like I said, I hope to open a storefront here in Central Florida. And so if you're ever in Florida, wherever in Florida, I drive. And so let me know. I like to eat. We might pull up on you. I am a single mom. I have a daughter, so she goes with me wherever I go. And so she's a huge reason. So shout out to Gia, my daughter, as well. She's a huge reason why I strive to excel in this industry. And so thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
Okay, again, I'm Lauren Brooks again. I'm on all social media, Lauren BEE Literature. Right now, I'm in the research phase of the part two of my first book. So, The Study in the Purple Lotus, part two, The Dark Sister. And it's a lot of research that goes into it. So, I haven't really started writing it, but it's coming along. But I am halfway through on a romance that I'm working on called A Heart Not Soft Life. So, hopefully, I can finish that this summer. Um, and I would like to give a shout out to my mom, Frankie, and my dad, Jason, and my auntie Lisa in Lansing, Michigan, who always supports my writing. And thank y'all, and thank you for having me. And it was so nice to be here with y'all today. This was so fun.
Thank you.
So I'm Annie Taylor. I have a few ideas. I started one book, but I haven't decided to publish it yet. I did self-publish my other two books along with the coloring books. And that's because I retired from one company and started at another company. So I'm looking to get more certifications. So I've had to put that on a back burner because both is so important to me in my career. But I'm on all social media platforms as Annie Taylor. So I'm definitely you can definitely connect with me on that. But I really enjoyed this conversation, you guys. You ladies have inspired me.
Oh, thank you, Annie. Thank you.
I'm Saw Jules again. I'm on all social media as Saw Jules or Jules, one of them. You'll see my face, it's big. Um, I started working on my children's poetry books for little brown boys and little brown girls, but I had to put it on pause because again I got these scripts that I have to go through. But I will pick that back up later on in the year. I've written a lot of the poems for the books already, so I'm working on illustrations. I'm also learning how to illustrate, so I don't have to outsource that. So I'm super excited about those. And then I have a couple of journals that'll be coming out very in depth and detail. But follow me on social media. You'll see everything I have going on. If you ever want to hear me live in person with my spoken word, there's going to be a flyer out there somewhere because I'm performing it just about everywhere. And then I always have books on me. So if you see me in the street, I always have books in my car.
Love it.
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I wanted to give a shout out. I'm so sorry.
Yes,
They're
yes,
gonna kill me.
yes. Shout them out, girl.
Shout out to my love, David Jones. My family, my children, my niece Anissa, my sister Denise Miles. She's actually published 3 coloring books, so she inspires me as well. So I love you, ladies. I love you, David. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, girl. You had to get that right.
Yeah, because he's watching.
My name is JaCynthia Bailey. This has been such fun and inspirational just to be in the room with other women who are striving and actually doing the work and being vulnerable and putting themselves out there. And so I want to thank all of you ladies. I've just really learned and enjoyed just hearing your stories and how you view authorship and purpose. And so thank you, Auntie, for having me.
You're welcome.
You can find me on all social medias under JaCynthia Bailey, and then both of my books are on Amazon. Um, in conjunction with my books, because they are a deep diving work into self, I do retreats. And so I actually do women's retreats, weekend ones, day retreats that travels all around. I'm coming to Florida this month in 2 weeks. And then we also do marriage retreats. So the books kind of go along with what to do after the retreat, after you've done some of that work, toiling up some things. And the book that I'm working on now is actually called Parenting with the Holy Spirit. So I am just sharing some things in a journal format of how working on myself has allowed me to assess my childhood and assess how I'm parenting my children and really being the best parent that I can be to them individually and on a whole level. So I'm looking forward to that. And Arilla, I might be hitting you up to get that book out there.
Call me, girl. Call me.
And shout out to my family, to my husband. They are just always so supportive. So I'm very thankful. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, JaCynthia.
Okay, I guess it's me. Well, I am Author Brittany Brannon. You can find me on all social media handles at Author Brittany Brannon. And what I'm working on now is in 2025, by next May of 2025, I want to publish my first children's book. And I want this children's book to display, boundaries that we have to teach children to set when they go out into society. So that's one of the goals that I'm working on. And also, in the meantime, I've been preaching in ministry for about 13 years, but I am a youth minister. So I go and, of course, I teach and preach to the youth at my church, but I am also deeply invested in the youth in the community. And also, for another gift that I have is I create custom jewelry pieces and memorial items. So a lot of times when people pass away, or they want to memorialize their loved one, they would see me for all types of things, whether it's for the funeral service, or whether it's something to wear down the line, or something unique, or whether they just want to look flashy and fly. I do create pieces from scratch. That's a part of my outlet from trauma and a lot of anxiety and depression, which it does help a whole lot. And as far as shout outs, I would like to give a shout out to my family. Like, publishing this book, it just, a lot of people, they who started out with me, they were not here